Hello everyone, Danner Prospecting here. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome. I hope to earn your subscription today. I have finished my series on evaluating production pans. Those are the pans that are supposed to ram through material very, very fast for those of you who can't use sluice boxes in the river. I've evaluated the Gold Claw pan, I've evaluated the Pyramid Pan Pro, the Flow Pan from Gold Hog, the Garrett Super Sluice, a flat pan, and the Batea pan. And in this video here, I want to put together all the numbers, compare them all to each other, so that you can make a decision on which one you want. Hope you enjoy. Now, before I get into crunching the numbers or making recommendations, showing you the data, let's talk a little bit about my testing methods in this series. Now, except for the Garrett Super Sluice, which I know very well, all the rest of the pans I'm 100% a novice with. Hardly ever used any of them before. And I want to make sure that I tested them as a complete novice. Of course, I looked at the videos and the instructions on how to use every pan beforehand, but I wanted to go with my intuition of how to actually use those pans from what I know intuitively. That being said, I also tested every pan using the proper methods the manufacturers suggest. And with the exception of one pan, I got very similar results either way I did it. Now, I have the advantage in this video that I've actually already released many of those videos, and I've listened to your comments on those videos. So I just want to show you a few things here about how these pans are really supposed to be used. So with the Pyramid Pro pan, you're supposed to keep the pan level the whole time and remove the material out of the pan by a side-to-side sloshing motion and a fairly aggressive big stroke of sloshing side to side. I think why this is having a hard time recovering my gold is because the classified material is so fine, the gold hasn't had a chance to settle all the way down and is actually sitting up in the dirt while it's sloshing side to side. And the sloshing motion kicks a lot of that higher level dirt up and out of the pan, which is probably still containing a lot of gold. You see this in regular gold pans like Super Sluices as well. If you don't continually stratify all the way down, every time you remove a layer off the top, re-stratify, you can lose gold. And I think that's the problem I'm finding here when I'm using the manufacturer's method, is that the gold isn't stratifying to the bottom in one shot, and the big sloshing is sloshing it out. Now with the Gold Claw pan, when I actually used it like the manufacturer demoed on his video demonstrating how it was supposed to be used, the results I got were very, very different than when I used it my sort of intuitive method. I still tried to use the principle of the pan by the shaking and tipping, but when I actually went and watched the demonstration from the manufacturer with his 20 seconds of shaking and tipping to clear a pan, and I tried it quick like that, I didn't even do it in 20, I took it longer than that, but when I tried to do it with a very quick shake and tip, I lost almost all my gold. The results were very significant losses. When I took it slowly and stratified often, I actually got some fairly good results. So classified material, again, the gold is not stratifying right to the bottom instantly, so we're losing it when we tip it out. My intuitive method, where I stratified it every once in a while and then shook and tipped, ended up getting some pretty good results in a fairly good time, but not the 20 seconds they advertise. Now for the Gold Hog Flow Pan. Well, I did get a lot of comments on that video that, hey Dan, you're doing it wrong, and a lot of people said it in a lot ruder tone of voice. But yes, I know I was actually using it with what I thought felt best from my own intuition. I did watch the training videos ahead of time. I saw how Doc said to try it, and of course I tried it a second time afterwards using Doc's exact method. You know, everything right down. He said use one big shovelful, so I took one big shovelful and put in. He then said, you know, stratify it with this twisting motion. I watched very carefully his twisting motion, and I did that precisely for the same amount of time he did it. Then he said to clear the gravels, you're going to move it in this sort of jerking fashion. You move it one way and stop quickly, then come back. Move it one way, stop quickly, and come back. I watched him very carefully, and I tried to replicate that action as best I could. I guess I was still in a tub with no moving water, but I still got the same results. I did it a third time after that. I actually went down to the river and tried it in the moving water, again following Doc's procedure. And I got terrible results, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying it's because of the pan, though it might be. It could also be because of the material I was running. It's big, flat flakes, well, big and small, but very, very flat flakes in a tightly classified material. So the sand that the quarter minus stuff makes this sand that big, flat flakes have a hard time settling through. And I think what it is after stratifying, those flakes hadn't got down to the mats yet, so when I turned it to wash it, it just washed them straight out. I'm not saying don't buy this pan. For you, it might work just perfectly. For me and my style and the way I like to pan using classified material, it's not going to do the job. But for all those people who commented saying very rude things, some of them very rude things, but some of them just saying, Dan, you're doing it wrong, I did try doing it right as well. I just liked the footage from the first shot much better. Now, really the only thing I have to say about the Garrett Super Sluice there is that if I wanted higher percentages, all I would have had to do is take more time. If I spent double the time, say 8 minutes to do that half bucket, I'm pretty sure I could have had almost 100% recovery. So as far as testing on the flat pan goes, it was pretty easy. Actually, it was the most intuitive of all of them. I just dropped the dirt on and shake it back and forth, forward and back, and it did its job really well. I only took one take on that. I figured after one take I had good enough results that's what I used. So not much to say about the flat pan other than it was amazing. And testing the Batea pan, again, I only took one take of that. I have had a bit of experience with that one before, so I kind of knew what to do and knew what to expect. And it was pretty intuitive as well, and got some fairly good results. So not much to say about the testing of that. It worked kind of as advertised, right out of the box, right away. Okay, let's start comparing these pans. Now, I don't want to say what pan is bad or the worst or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 5 different categories, and I'm going to list the top 3 pans in each of those categories and just make a chart here and show you sort of which pans are good at what. Things like the cost of the pan, the speed of the pan, capture rate of the pan, the pan's versatility, and then the last column, would I use this pan? So I'm going to try to limit it to those 5 things and list the top 3 in each of those. So let's start with cost. The most cost efficient, the cheapest pan is definitely the Garrett Super Sluice, coming in at about $12. After that, the next least expensive pan would be the Gold Claw. And third on that list would be the Pyramid Pro Pan. Okay, the next thing would be the speed. The big winner for speed was the Speed Pan, of course, the flat pan, which is meant for speed, closely followed by the Batea Pan. And third on the speed chart would be the Garrett Super Sluice. It held its own quite nicely. Capture rates, the big winner is the flat pan for capture rates. It was well over 90%, and that was awesome. The next one on that list would be the Garrett. The Garrett did very well, which I'm not too surprised at. That's my pan, of course. And third on that list was the Batea Pan. Versatility. Now, versatility is kind of like where you can use it, what kind of water conditions you need, or can you clean up right in the pan? Do you need another pan for cleaning up? How versatile is that pan? Well, of course, the Super Sluice comes out on top. It can be used anywhere. You can clean up in it. You can wash out your sluice mats. There's so many things you can do with the Garrett Super Sluice. Next, I would say for versatility, I would put the Gold Claw at number 2. It is very close to number 1, actually. It can do pretty much anything that the Garrett pan can do. Just needs a little bit more water to work it. Then number 3 on the versatility list would be, I would say, probably the Batea. The Batea is quite nice. You do need a bigger area, and that's why it's not higher. You need a big area to work it. But the fact that you can clean up your gold really quick right in that pan is really nice. Last thing on the chart, would I use it? Well, of course I'll use the Garrett Super Sluice. That is my pan. That's the one I use anyways. The next one on the list, I can actually see me now, after these tests, using a flat pan. It was fast, it had high capture rates, and it was easy to use. I would definitely consider bringing a flat pan with me. And the third one on that list is the Gold Claw. I see big potential in that Gold Claw, and I think once you get used to it, that pan is something that I can see people using as a primary pan for sure. But number 3 on the list would be the Gold Claw pan. I really see potential in the Gold Claw. Now, looking at this chart, you can see why I like the Garrett Super Sluice so much. You might also see a little bit of bias in there because there's birds. You may see a bit of bias in there because it is my pan. It's the one I like. Looking at the other pans, though, the flat pan sure has some pretty key aspects that are perfect. The speed and the capture rate. Absolutely. That makes that pan one of the best. And of course, the Gold Claw is in there. I wouldn't rule out that Batea, though. That Batea still has potential as well. Between the Gold Claw and the Batea, those are 2 pans to watch out for. They're doing well. But you know, that Super Sluice, you can't beat it. For its price and for how versatile it is, you know, for the price of one of those expensive pans, I literally own 12 or more Super Sluices. Look around here. I've got gems in one that I make my gem bags for my pay dirt out of. Over here is an ore sample that a fan sent me to look at, to evaluate. This one here has got some acid in it that's dissolving some sulfides from one of my hard rock mines. I got Garrett Super Sluices everywhere. They are just very important, very easy, simple pans that do whatever it is you need to do. So that is why it's my pan of choice. Now, for anyone out there that may want to get one of these pans, I have actually secured some discounts for you guys. If you want a flat pan, contact Fred at Fred's Gold Panning. Tell him Dan sent you, and you'll get 5% off a flat pan. If you'd like a Batea pan, contact Mark at Goldstream Placer Supplies. And again, tell him Dan sent you, and you'll get 5% off as well. And if you're one of my patrons, I've secured you a higher percentage off, and I will let you know on Patreon how to collect on that. Now, I knew the Garrett was going to be my number 1. I knew it. The big winner here, other than the Garrett, is that flat pan. I am so impressed with what it can do, for sure. But keep an eye on that Gold Claw. He's an up-and-comer for sure. And I am starting up my monthly giveaways on Patreon again. So there will be, in the near future, a giveaway of a slightly used Flow Pan and a slightly used Pyramid Pro Pan, each of which will come with a bag of Dan Hurd gem and gold pay dirt. This month's giveaway is a special mix of my pay dirt with double everything in it. I hope you enjoyed this video series on evaluating gold pans and figuring out which ones are best. I know there's a lot of you out there that don't agree with some of my methods, some of my techniques, some of my conclusions. If you are one of those that don't agree, that must mean that you have some experience. And experience is the best thing for any of these pans. If you get good at any of them, any of them, it is probably the right pan for you, because once you're good at a pan, your speed goes up, your capture rate goes up, your confidence goes up. If you like a pan and you're good at it, stick with it. That is the right pan for you. If you don't agree with my evaluations here, I am sorry. Thank you for leaving me a comment. Thank you for leaving me your thoughts. I do appreciate comments. Some of the rude ones could be a bit nicer for sure, but thank you for leaving a comment. If you enjoyed this series, please leave me that thumbs up. Comment below. Keep it nice, please. And if you haven't subscribed already and you like my evaluations, like my videos, like my style, I have hundreds of more videos on YouTube, and I'll be making hundreds more in the future. There's a very excited bird over there. Please consider subscribing. And until the next one, everyone, this is Dan Hurd from my backyard.